Click.
It's coming from the north. There ain't no dogs there.
Wow, pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. So, good evening and welcome, everybody. It is Wednesday, the 16th of February, 2022. We are Studio 10 broadcasting 10 o'clock talks, and tonight we are coming to you through the Dark Radio Network Project. With me will be the man who lives amongst them, of course, the infamous David Parker, and myself, Michael Anthony, and I am your host. But he's my host, so he's second host, and we're all here. So I want to first say this. Thank you to all the fabulous groups throughout America and beyond who always welcome us in every week and are taking such great interest in our conversations. And please always feel free, if you would like to do or make a comment, please do that, reflect in it. And again, welcome. Also want to let you know that we are sponsoring a special product person tonight. And it's through the Pennsylvania Bigfoot Project. And you can look to find some of the products on there, T-shirts and more. They have everything from small to super. What would I say, Dave?
5 XX or triple X.
Yeah. Or to supersize Sasquatch. There's that thing that doesn't work on my tongue so well. But anyway, you know where I'm coming from. Yeah. So anyway,
say it fast 3 times.
Yeah, one of those things. 5 the small to 5. But anyway, and also decals. You don't never get charged over $4 for shipping of any one product, and only $1 for decals. I'll get you more information, and I expect some of it to be posted. Also want to send a special hello out to Bill Rigby. Thank you, my man. You're a rock star. You bailed me out the other day. And what a great show we had last week with him. Huh, David? That was really a great show. Great company. We'll have to get him to sit back in with us. I kind of already miss him now. Just because, he has that real delightful kind of look about himself. That the infamous old guy. We'll have to come up with a name for him. See, get him, draw him back in. Anyway,
well,
wait, hold up. All right, now go.
Part of the old boys club.
There you go. Yeah, you can't. Hey, you know what? That might be something. Part of the old boys club with Bigfoot. Maybe you should have named the new group that. So anyway, we have a new group out there. It's called A Life with Bigfoot. So welcome in throughout America and everywhere else. You got to join this group. Send some support down to us lower bottom feeders. Okay, get down here, show us some support, and while you're at it, don't forget to support all your local Bigfoot groups. I mean, everyone is important. All information and data is most important, and that's where we want to keep our strength. We really do, but we want to keep it interesting with stories and information. Tonight, we're going to touch base on a couple topics. So I hope, and I want to thank the admins in advance now. You might be hearing a little of something else, cryptid, but very, very cool. And a story out of Pennsylvania. So we'll be bringing that to you. We'll be both sharing it back and forth. And I'm sure Dave brought a ton of information with him, as he does every week. So, Dave, why don't you say hello to everybody and tell them how you are? And do you have any weekly topics? And I'll check over our live feeds and stuff while you do that.
Well, there's been a big shakeup for me anyway. I'm no longer part of Bigfoot, the Real Truth. I wanted to take the group to the next level, but apparently Doug Blanks, the creator of the group, had different intentions. And then someone I thought was my friend backstabbed me. So now I'm out. And I guess they're not going to ride my coattails anymore. So started out, I revamped a different group into A Life with Bigfoot, and I shall begin again. You know, it's
yeah, that's sad. And we're what perfect timing in America to backstab another individual. I mean, it's mind blowing, and I don't want to go into politics, but isn't this like just the way things are? I don't know what's going on in people's minds.
Politics. Well, since I did all the work to bring the group to the level that it was at, I asked Doug Blanks if he would be willing to sign over controlling interest of it to me. I mean, I did everything, and he just sat off on his own doing nothing. And
right. He left it how many members?
What was that?
He left. What was the number of members when he stepped off and gave you the reins?
Like 1,200, and a lot of them were.
You know, if he took that to court, he wouldn't have a leg to stand on. He'd only have his ass to sit on. And I'm not trying to be mean, but whoever you are, sir, I don't know you. This is not America. This is not how you treat an individual that had produced. And again, it's an insult to me, because I've been promoting the hell out of that group. And since I've been around doing shows with Dave, there's been a major jump, a major increase. And I never saw you in the picture. I had no clue you even existed. But again, I do respect the fact that you probably established a group. But again, when you step off at 1,200 and come back at 72,000, you're looking for a free ride, brother. You have nothing. You've done nothing to do anything. And Dave, let's not stick too long there. I think.
No, I mean his participation in the group was pretty much maybe put up about 3 posts in a month. You know,
the fact that you probably established a group. But again, I'm sorry, I got my thing going there. Hey, let's say hello, quick hello to everybody. We can get back to that though. Beth, good morning to you. It'll be morning by the next time you hear from me. You know it's going to get late. Jeff Strong. Hey, good afternoon, good evening. And we have Gary. My man Gary. He's always in the house. He follows us. Jeff. Yeah. Jeff is always in the house for us as well. 3 others are stepping in. B. Dice is here tonight. B, how are you, brother? My brother from a different mother. And I with all respect, you know that. And I will be actually doing a format with B. We got something going on that's getting some good vibes out there as we all, push forth in America with this big devastational scenario that we're in. Hello, Kathy. I hope all's well in your life. I truly do. Thanks for you guys joining in. We're going to get into some conversation. If anybody can find MIA Nancy Vincent, where are you, girl? I thought she'd be around tonight. Anyway, more will probably stop through. Hello, Miss Donna. How are you this evening? And I'll address something shortly. Anyway, so I got to bring something up that I think is really important. And again, for anybody, if we started out on a down low, you got to understand the work that's placed into a group to make it as strong as it was with that many members, and it's heartfelt by people, and it's a shame that people have a different sense of respect, because it's not respect. It's with sadness. It truly is. Nancy's at church. Oh, blessings to Nancy. Okay, I didn't know that. I should have called her. I got it. We're gonna bring up something a little different tonight for the audience. I posted something because I wanted to get a vibe on this. The truth of the matter is, we know that we see and hear about Bigfoot having long hair, and in some cases that their hair starts to get some moss on it and so forth. Maybe that part's true. They get a little mossy. Maybe they don't care for themselves totally like a human would. Maybe they use it as part of their own type of camo. So where I'm going with this is, we have a lot of new researchers that go out, they're learning, they're rock stars, they want to do the best they can. But in some cases, I'm just wondering, some of the sightings out there, could it be possibly hunters scouting, just sitting up against a tree, and then they put on these camo grass military style
ghillie suits.
Yeah, the ghillie suit. So, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, and the reason I'm bringing it up, I think it's important for us old timer clubbers here, a Bigfoot, to kind of like weigh in there just for a quick minute. What are your thoughts on that, though? I'm thinking it's very possible. In some cases, what people see are not what they are truly seeing. What are your thoughts?
Well, I know there's a particular video out there where they show something that they say is a Bigfoot walking, but to me, it's carrying something that kind of has a square shape to it, and I think it was a turkey hunter in a ghillie suit. I've seen that. Now, as far as them getting moss, I don't know. I would think with all the movement, it would be hard for moss to grow on their hair. Moss will grow on a tree, but a tree is pretty stationary. So I don't know. But now I'll give you an example. Like, it was last year, one night, my boy stepped out. He was going to let the dog in, and he caught the one we call Little Andy petting the dog. Now, he when he described Little Andy at that time, he was 10 feet tall and black, of course, but he had a lot of leaves in his hair. But, I guess they sleep on the forest floor. You could kind of expect that, but that also helps to give them some camouflage. Just the leaves that cling to their fur. And now the ones here, as opposed to a lot of the other areas of the country, are extremely shaggy. Now, you look at the Patterson film, I mean, she's almost smooth coated like a gorilla in a lot of ways. Now here they're really shaggy, and like the hair on their head, it's like a thick mop, like a string mop, like a Raggedy Ann doll or something.
Right.
Where it's, not really dreadlocks, but I guess you'd call it stringy looking. At least that's how I would describe it. And I know a lot of people, I mean, we talk about the Bigfoot and this one or that one, and they've got different color eye shine. And I don't know if that's a result of the angle that you're catching their eyes at, or if it has to do with their mood. I mean, a lot of people claim when they're angry that they give out a red eye shine, but they've also reported white, amber, and like the ones here, it's brilliant green is all I've ever seen, but the only ones I've ever seen are at my location. And they're all related, so you would expect them all to have the same eye shine because they're a family. But I've never seen anything other than green. And I'll tell you what, you hit one with the spotlight, man, it makes them look like a demon. It's freaky. I had that one night, the dogs ran to the corner of the pen and they were wagging because they wanted the one we call Little Andy, to pet him. And, they were wagging their tails. And next thing I know, I heard a twig snap. And I jumped up and shined a spotlight, and I hit him with it. And I'll tell you what, you see him, and the eye shine just radiated out of his eyes like daggers. And I mean, it made me gasp. I mean, he looked like a demon. And then, because he was sneaking off and he was going on all fours and he was looking back, and that's why he crunched that little twig. Because you know how oak trees are, when you have a drought, they'll shed the very outer tips of the branches.
Yes.
And it was like one of those that he caught. And then when I hit him with the spotlight, he stood up to get out of it, because I'm sure it hurt his eyes. And then I lowered it down, and he lowered down, and then I raised it, and of course he stood up again. And I was trying to motion for him to come over to me, but he wouldn't do it. And then he went across what I call the wood yard, which is to the east, and around the scrap metal pile that I put out for the hillbillies with all, just scrap metal junk. I got that right by the road, and he walked around that and kept going. But I was hoping he'd come back. I mean, if he would have, hell, I'd have got out the Krusty's pancake mix and made him some pancakes with maple syrup. I'd have fed him good.
Understood. All right. So appreciate your thoughts on that. And again, some people were just saying, and I mean, if the swamp monster and all this stuff and that greenish kind of stuff that's on them or whatever, I don't know. I don't know what people think they're seeing at times, but I've been doing a little reading. I think this past Sunday evening late, and I came across a couple articles. They were just short little things that were in other groups, and that they seen through the sheen of the fur like a greenish color. So I was thinking in my mind, and it was mentioned in one small particular sentence that I even went back and I read it twice, and it was observed to be like a mossy green kind of, like something. I mean, maybe they put something on them that we don't quite get. I don't know. So I wanted to bring that up. Another thing,
here's what I'm thinking. Maybe it's more in the way extreme southern states where they've got all the swamps and whatnot.
Yeah, swamp monster and stuff.
Well,
nope, wasn't there. It was up actually in San Bernardino Mountains. Okay,
now,
and I have something else on that, so we can get into further. If we stay on one topic, Dave, we're never going to get into enough information here, and I really want to touch a couple things.
Well, I got just one quick thing. Maybe that I know that they take bark off of cedar trees, the smaller limbs. Mm-hmm. And I think they use that in a way to try and delouse themselves, because I'm sure with all that hair and different game and stuff you eat, you get fleas and ticks and everything else. And I'm not sure exactly how they're using the cedar bark, whether they're eating it or chewing it up and, smearing it on them to kind of get rid of, mange and fleas and ticks and stuff.
Right.
But I have heard, accounts of where people have seen where the Bigfoot have been, that on the cedar trees, they peel all the bark off of the smaller limbs.
Okay.
And, for example, a cedar chest, you put your bedding in there because it repels insects. And that's all I got to say on that.
All right. And again, I don't know if they need to do it. Something we can get into. It sounds like we could further that type of specific thing even more and analyze it. But we also got questions and a couple statements here. And Marianne Parker says, "Hi, Gary," to the group. And also Gary makes mention here. And let's see how long, because sometimes Gary writes long. But let's give respect to the ones who do stay in the group to hang out with us. Michael, the last one I saw was when myself and a friend were sitting by a small bonfire And we had been sitting there for about 45 minutes. And the next thing I know, my friend jumps out of his chair and almost runs over me because of a Bigfoot had stood up 15 feet from where we were sitting. From what I could see, he was gray with a very slight greenish tint to it, and it ran into the woods. All right, so maybe they. All right, so here we're bringing this up, and we're getting a little, response, audience participation here. All right, so he's seeing something that kind of like maybe like a silverback color or something. The possibility, I guess, then could they rub themselves off something that maybe in some way acts as like a pigment or of a natural type of dye. I don't know. I'm just trying to weigh in the best I can to do anything or say anything to this fella here, which I think we covered. I don't know how long this was up, but
they live in the forest, so they probably sleep on the floor, the forest floor, and who knows what they're picking up.
True.
And I've never heard of them using a hairbrush. The only one I ever seen looked like it had a hairbrush taken to it was the Todd Standing video. That thing, the hair was perfect, like Granny after the hair salon,
Right. All right, so I got another thing that something that was written to me after the last show. I didn't have time to pull. It's like, forgive me if I don't bring up your name. I apologize. I did make notes, and I meant to go back to get your name just to shout you out. But thank you for watching the show. We really appreciate you and all your information. Now, this information isn't deep. It's very basic. It's very simple. Another area of Southern California now where sightings are being seen in trees. So, again, they're big animals, very strong. They probably can potentially do anything they want to do due to their strength. I don't know if their agilities are as good as a little swinging tree monkey or whatever. They are big. They'd have to be very careful. They could, with their weight and everything else, the trees that they pick would have to be relatively strong. I also noticed a couple videos over the last few years that have, been around in all the groups, I guess, where every once in a while you do hear about an occurrence of Bigfoot in a tree or being sighted in a tree. I understand now, further in the conversation, the way it was written to me, that they're saying that there have been new sightings in Southern California. And again, place pops up all over again, either to Washington State or San Bernardino mountain area, where a few sightings, as well as a video, was just ascertained not long ago by someone that was just in the right moment and everything was just right. The stars were all in alignment, and they did capture a picture that was pretty clear. Are you familiar with this video clip by any chance?
I'm not exactly sure the one you're talking about. There's so much out there.
Right. Well, I try to like browse through everything. Sometimes people send me pictures the first thing I do because everybody's voice, especially, that doesn't matter what level of topic we're talking about. I share a lot of things. It doesn't matter to me if it's good or it's bad. I'll let people make their remarks on that. But if people are kind enough to share for the formats for the groups, I try to throw them out there and support, because who's ever to say what we may totally think is a false picture could be the real thing? We don't know. We assume that we know everything in ways. I try to really stay on the fence with a lot of this stuff, unless I know I have a very good source. But in many cases, I do not. In many cases, I look at something before I even post it and I say, I don't know. But anyway, so these climbing tree scenarios, they're big, they're heavy. What are your thoughts? Just, thoughts on it.
I'm thinking it'd be more your juveniles, adolescents doing that. Just for the fact that you figure, as an example, an adult male, is probably going to weigh upwards of 1,200 pounds. It's going to take some pretty sizable, sturdy branches to hold that. And you also look at them, as far as a primate, you look at their feet, they're not a tree dweller. Like, an orangutan, he's got basically 4 hands.
Right.
But the Bigfoot, he's not a tree dweller, not primarily. But now, just like our kids, when you were a kid, were you out climbing trees?
No, of course I was. What kid doesn't climb a tree? And fortunately, I never fell out of one. I know kids that did, broke arms and more, truthfully.
Well, sure. I mean, and we do that. Well, why wouldn't their children do that? Plus, the younger males that.
Well, when you say young, what are we talking about here is young? Because you understand the proportions, the weights, the heights a little bit better off the top of your head.
Now, a male at 5 years old, the ones here. Now, this varies across the country. They say there's different sized ones, but
right
here, an adult male is 12 feet tall. A 5-year-old male child is 6 feet tall. And then they grow like 6 inches a year after that.
Okay.
So they, over the course of another 12 years, then they'll reach maturity at around age 17. Now, the females, I don't get to see them near as much, so I can't say. I mean, they'll get up there, but they always stay back a ways.
Okay.
It's not as easy to get a look at the females as it is the males.
All right. So, but again, all right, I got to interrupt because I have a train of thought and I'm eager. I really am. So, we know an adult male can get up to like 12 feet tall, maybe even 15 feet. I mean, I've heard these numbers before. I can't, not account for them that they don't exist. People have stories, and I have to respect their stories because it's theirs. And an adult female, are they much smaller than the adult male?
They average 8 foot.
8 foot.
Now the Patterson Bigfoot, she was like 7'3".
Right.
Because I calculated that off the size of her footprints.
All right. So they grow relatively quick. They have a different type of growth than we do. But even us as humans, Homo sapiens sapien, we even, my grandchildren are 11 years old and they're taller as tall as me, and a couple were taller. And then I have one that's 18. He's even, but anyway, so you have these growth spurts. Is it possible you could have like a male who may be like considered to be an adult age, which would start where, Dave?
17.
All right. Let's say 17 is an adult.
And then they'll fill out after that, just like, like a human male would. They'll gain some bulk after that.
Right. That's why you got to take care of yourself, watch your diet, drink a lot of water, and exercise. And I swear to it works. But no. So what if we just? We really don't know the age of a female. Then that would be kind of that catch-22 thing. Are all the females just going to grow like 3 inches a year, 6 inches a year? Could they be at 8 foot at the age of 10? And age would not matter to them. I wouldn't think. Just like prehistory, older men married much younger women, and it was perfectly fine. Now we call that abuse, but they wouldn't look at it like that.
No, I think as soon as the females start their period, they probably start mating with them. I would imagine.
Do you think that they have all these exact same ongoings as Homo sapiens sapien?
I'm not sure, as far as their mating habits. I don't, there's, from what it's like with my group here, there's 2 males for every female. So now it's not going to be Ma, Pa, and the kids. And it seems the females pretty well run the show.
What's up, B?
But, it's supply and demand. You got plenty of demand and limited supply. That gives them power.
Right.
Over the group.
Right.
And so I don't know how they do it with their mating, but it seems like the time of year when they mate to have little ones, that the adult males split into two groups so that there's always a present. I mean, and it's about mid-August when that begins, and then they stay split like that till about the end of deer season, and then the males all rejoin and go hunting in a party of 6 rather than 3 at a time. But I think I don't know, maybe the females each have 2 males. I don't know. That, or there's a possibility that there's just one alpha male and he gets to do all the dirty work.
Right. All right. So let's go over something else then. And we also want to say hi to B Dice, who came in, and he says that right now, I guess this is something that he knows is fact, or he looked up for us. And however you got it, it doesn't matter. You're a rock star. The tallest human is 8'10". I guess that may be something in the present right now. And Rosa, the lady from Canada, has stepped into the room. Hi, Rosa. How are you tonight? And please give my best to everybody up there, including my UFO buddy. I hope everything in Canada and all the truckers and everything are safe and well. I just want to make sure I say that to you guys up there. Go Canada. We're with you, man.
I hope they resolve that real soon.
Well, let's just for a moment tramp on this thought of idea. We're going to learn a lot because of everything else we see that goes on differently than what we experience in the United States. And I'm saying this with calmly with common sense. We can do as much by shutting off the trucks and not wasting the fuels or subjecting ourselves to humiliation and seizures of trucks and tows and more if we just shut them down and say, the hell with it all. But anyway, it's just a quick thought I was sharing out there. And I do believe that people should consider the fact that we can control it right from inside our homes, and nobody can do anything about it. On the other hand, when you're on the road and you obstruct traffic or you cause noise pollution, remember in America, we have noise pollution. We have light pollution. They have pollution that they created pollution for. So just give a lot of thought to this, and I'm with you no matter what you do, but just give it a lot of thought. All right, so signals they make. We know about whistling. There's howling. What else do they have?
They do the tree knocks.
Yeah, right. The tree knocks, of course. Yeah.
And they'll click rocks together sometimes.
Okay.
The clacking of rocks.
All right. So if people are out having a campfire somewhere in the woods and they hear these kind of things, they should at least keep an awareness of that factor.
The males howl with the coyotes, like in that clip you played in the introduction, where you hear the one that sounds like he's really hoarse. That you get a group of 5 coyotes going off, and then you hear this one that starts them off. And it's like the Sesame Street song, one of these things is not like the other ones.
Yeah.
Hear that, because I can give you a short story about that's pretty good. My neighbor's oldest boy, when he graduated high school, they had a graduation party. And they came down on quads and, the side-by-side things and stuff. They wanted to hear some Bigfoot stories. So I was telling them a few, and they were intrigued, and they had heard of some in the area. But then it was just about getting dark, and you could hear the males howling with the coyotes like that. And here comes the funny part. And I said to him, well, just listen to that. I said, do you think every last one of them is a coyote? And it looked like I was sitting among a bunch of owls. Their eyes were so big. Then they all got up, loaded up, and went back down to the neighbor's house. They heard that, and it was getting closer, the sound of the males howling with the coyotes. And it made me laugh. They jumped back on their quads and side by sides. Down the road they went.
Okay. So that's a few things. Bill Rigby's off sidebar here a little bit. And he's like the owl calls the bird. So we have a good handful, if not more, of how they can be signaling each other. And we may not even know. We might just think it's natural that, nothing out of the ordinary is going on. And one
Plus
could be
the
so much.
infrasound that we can't hear, who knows exactly what they can do with that?
Right.
That's an area that we just don't have enough information on.
Right. There could be more. There could be more. So anyway, if anybody's just joining in, I see a few more coming in and out and whatnot. Thank you for joining in. Studio 10 Broadcasting, the Dark Radio Network Project. Again, remember, if you go on to the Pennsylvania Bigfoot Project, they sponsor our show here, and we're ever so pleased and happy that they do that. And we want to thank Bill Rigby, and also put out for Miss M up there the fact that if you go onto that site, they have available also different types of T-shirts and decals and more from small to squat size, at whatever size that is. But you got that here first, squatch size, and we ought to market that. We should market that, David.
Yeah, squat size it.
Squat sizing. That's what it is. And you know what? You want to be comfortable? Go squat sizing. And that means you get the biggest one. Hey, it makes for great lingerie, ladies. I kid you not. Steal one out of your husband's. No, never mind. But anyway, have you ever heard of the Amish Bigfoot stories?
No.
Listen, some of the most happy people in the world make their own shine. Just want to live life on their own. Don't want to be taxed by the government. Don't have to follow direction of it. But listen, there's encounters up in PA around I-80 where I can't wait till next week to share some of these things with you. A lot of people in Pennsylvania may never think, and I'm bringing this up for a reason, because of a guest will be coming on soon. I'm going to kind of like share a little of this, but yeah, the Amish people are seeing them too. No joke. If you talk to some of the young people, they're out there in their horse and buggy. They got their American flags on them. They truck down the road too. And guess what? They got ghetto boxes in the backs of these rigs that they're running around, the horse and carriages.
Yeah, they're little buggies.
Yeah, they got the boom boxes rocking, dude. They really do. But these are the ones coming through telling some of the neighbors, because they do everyone makes friends at some point, some way, somehow, either through buying, bartering, purchasing, hiring them, etc. Conversations do start. And there's plenty of sightings in Amish country in Pennsylvania. So just keep that in mind. And we have another story coming up for PA. Kind of like, a way to acknowledge my part of town. And so, anyway, Amos, can you believe it? Why not? Gary also says if they use infrasound, infrasound, we wouldn't hear anything they make. I guess they could, if all cases and scenarios are true, and we believe that to be fact, because of people's explanations and experiences, maybe we wouldn't even know that they're 5 feet behind us if they needed to pass us, and they have this incredible ability to just distort our mind from thought. So here's another way of, it's not signal, but to me it's almost like an direct energy weapon, just like the government. But that's super soldier stuff here. Imagine that guy's gonna go hit you, and Bigfoot just looks and says no, and zaps you with this infrasound, and you don't even remember anything. You don't even know how you wet your pants. You know what I mean?
You get disoriented, you get freaked out, and just have that flight. You want to just get out of there.
Yeah, exactly.
I've been hit by it, and I'll tell you what, the second time I got hit by it was at relatively close range, like 15 feet away.
Mm-hmm.
He was peeking around the garage, hitting me with it. And I'll tell you, it makes the hair on the back of your neck and your arms stand up, and you get goosebumps. And then he just took off like the devil was after him. And I yelled at him and told him to quit trying to scare me, and they've never hit me with it again. That was probably 8 years ago.
Yeah, I've never experienced that. I mean, some of
You don't want to.
well,
Now,
I
a
mean,
lot in the Bigfoot community call it getting zapped, but I mean, to me, that sounds more like something with energy, like electrical. And when it comes to sound, I call it getting blasted because you do call blasts, you have a sonic blast. I mean, I think we should. I try to steer people, saying you got blasted with infrasound.
yeah, it's really crazy though when you understand science, and you and I talk about different levels of science and what sounds can do, what things that cannot be heard by the human ear. All these sciences and technologies of gravitation and more. These things make perfect sense as long as you base and weigh the facts upon the stories that have been shared. Bigfoot does have a way of, I don't know if it's through mind, through through sound, or they have some other ability, supernatural, call it if you want, and they're able to do this. So, yeah, we're just trying to reach out to these new understudies. And I'm not saying maybe that's a bad way to put it, but everyone becomes new at some point in researching and more. You could be 30, 40, 50, 60 years old and it could be new to you.
Let's call them the up and comers.
Okay.
I mean, they're the up and coming
do
guys that are going to replace us
very shortly. Probably very shortly. So anyway, for anybody up there in PA that's out there listening, and hey, Rich Lopez, who just jumped into the room for a minute. Yeah, you have all these different scenarios. So I'm just going to do a quick review here. Washington State, up in trees and more. Southern California, San Bernardino Mountains, sightings. We talked about these grass suits, camo grass suits and stuff. I don't know. You called them what again, Dave? I can't think of it.
Ghillie suit.
They're ghillie suits. Well, there's also places that you can go into, and there's a different name that I saw. I don't remember, but you go into the stores. They sell bows and all these different things for hunting and whatnot. There was even a show on TV where they had that with Tim the Toll Man. He came up with another brilliant show there where he had like a hunting store with all the accessories and so forth.
Was that Last Man Standing?
May have been. You're the one supposed to have all this dialogue, Don. I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you what. I haven't had cable TV in a long time.
Yeah. See, I don't sit in front of TV that much. I find myself to be more enlightened by research, and that's been my 49 years. But I don't remember a lot of the TV shows. And honestly, I'm getting to the point in life where I have to accept the fact that I'm forgetting more than I learned. And in many ways, it's a fact. I joke not about it. So, every day I come out, I try to do a good job, but I know that I'm going through something. I truly know that my life has come to a point. It didn't hit a wall, but there's something there, and it's a push and shove thing. But I'm still able to do it. So that's good for now. When the day comes, I can't. Everyone's going to know about it. If it comes sooner than later, I'll be very disappointed. If it comes later, I'll be more than happy about that. But yeah, so we got Amish Bigfoot stories and a few other things that we touched, and we got squat size. If you just look on the PA Bigfoot project and you're looking for any kind of project, I'm seeing a project, any type of clothing, apparel that has to do with Bigfoot and more, check them out. And remember, it's only $4 shipping, $1 for decals. And if you want to double up on shirts, I think it's only $1 more if you want to be able to do that. Check out Miss Miriam. She'll be able to give you all the insights to that. And some really nice looking stuff, by the way, I must say. Really nice looking stuff. And I want to also say to everybody, all the other Bigfoot groups out there, Sasquatch groups, Yeti, Abominable, it doesn't matter. You're one of all of one. You're our family. If we can do anything here for you, please reach out to us and please share us throughout your groups. Let your admins know you'd like to see us more because some admins don't agree all the time with shows. And again, whatever makes you guys happy, you're the voice. And if you're a member, you should be able to control the voice of your group. You should have some type of voice in it. So, Dave, let's talk about something a little bit different here. It's a real quick story. Some people know of it. I was asked to bring it up in some questions. I said I'd look into it, and I'm bringing it up tonight. All right, this goes back to 1971, the D.B. Cooper search. And Dave, I know you know this because you've been out there studying it and studying it. $200,000 and a man jumps from a plane, and not just any plane, but jumps from it. So, body's never been found. We know that. A search was done, preliminary type search. I'm sure that all the sophisticated technologies that we probably didn't even know existed, what we're just seeing now, they probably used them then. So evidently this guy got away scot-free. Either that or he went into the water somehow, because there was money found at one point. We do know that.
Yeah,
But
they found a bundle of money that had been exposed to the elements for, they thought, quite a few years. Wasn't
correct.
it found in a creek or something?
Some type of water. We can go with creek, because I don't really think that there was any type of heavy flow water through there. I think it was more like what you just said, a creek or
Well,
something.
didn't he parachute out down over the forest somewhere, wasn't it?
Yes, sir. He did that. In fact, he did that. Somewhere between Oregon and, I think they said, was it California?
I thought between Oregon and Idaho, possibly.
All right, maybe it was. Maybe it was.
Pretty close to the border in there somewhere.
All right, pretty sad way for me to bring that up like that. Okay. Anyway, so 1972, a military sergeant who was directly a retired military sergeant went out and decided that he was going to check into this, because what he did was he did find and search and all this kind of search and rescue kind of stuff. And that was within his training. So he thought he'd check into it. And maybe, who knows, he'd find him. Maybe he'd find the money. I don't know. Maybe he's looking to get rich or just be a great honest guy. So he's reached out to a couple people over the years, but I can't give you his name because his name would never be given. But this story has been out there. So in 1972, he decides to hit and start a pathway through the area that he thought would most likely have been the area according to everything known. So this is where he starts and goes. And he's on foot. Off in the blind, to the side, in the grass, brush, thicket, whatever you want to call it, he sees a dark area. And he's like, for whatever reason, the way I get it, the way it was told, he was just impressed about it. Like, he thought it didn't look in place, So in his training, him being observant, something was unnatural. And he didn't know what it was, of course. He walks to approach it. And he thinks he sees something move. So now he's not sure. Oh, possible bear, something big.
Yeah.
He never says that he started to try to think, I need to defend myself, or nothing like that. I'm sure as a military guy, he went armed, probably did. Again, that's another area that wasn't.
If you're in bear country and you're somebody like him who was an avid outdoorsman as well as, with his training, I could almost guarantee he was packing something.
I'm thinking, because I know I would. I really do. I know I would. So getting back to the story, he keeps approaching with caution. And it's very still. He doesn't see any more movement. And then suddenly, in front of him, a very dark brown, what he describes as a Bigfoot, 11 to 12 feet tall, humanoid type face. Very specific hair. This is very key. In this moment, as short as it was, no infrasound, nothing like that used on him. He sees only black eyes, as if they're all pupil only. On the right side of the face, of the creature's face, I believe it was the right side, a very long gash, healed scar that did not look new by any means, but was there. So as if it had maybe a possibility of some type of altercation with something. And you could tell of the description of the story that it was old. So here we have 11 to 12 foot tall, dark brown, pure black eyes.
Yeah.
And the last thing he remembered was the fact that it knocked him into no man's land. And that quick, and that complete moment of time that his mind's registering, the eyes, humanoid face, brown, dark, very dark, brown, scar, gets hit like he got hit by a Mack truck.
Yeah, I'm sure.
He flew. Now, exactly how far, it wasn't said. And he went on over some type of ridge and whatnot. And that was the end of that story. Basically, that's what he remembered of it. So, again, what we can get out of this, I guess, he was 5'9", maybe 5'10", with his boots. This creature stood way over him. So he was assuming the 11 to 12 foot range because it was towering completely over him once it stood completely up. The hit was so powerful. Do you remember as kids or something, you're out there goofing around and someone belts you in the belly and you lose your breath and it just won't come back?
Yeah, where you get the wind knocked out of you.
That's one way to put it. That's a hell moment because I went through it. I jumped off a wall one time as a kid, real short hair, and somebody bent over at the same time I did it, and my lower mid chest, the belly, boom, the impact. I remember not breathing forever. I didn't think I was ever going to catch my breath again. So I believe that's what he's describing, and as what you just did. And in some cases, it can be worse, I guess, by the pressure of the hit. And he remembered that. He remembered just saying, God, breathe, breathe. And he couldn't breathe. And he's breathe. Again, you have something so big, so massive, so strong, and he got bruised up pretty bad, too. I mean, this just wasn't a hit to the belly or nothing. I think the arm was just like a, kind of thing. If you're looking
Just
at
swept him out of the way.
Yes, and the
probably
impact
probably didn't actually mean to hurt him like it did. But I mean, you got to consider the incredible strength of one of these things.
Well,
I could see him pick up a car easily.
Well, I would say, yeah. I used to bench press the back of a car, the front end of a car. I did it as a joke. I mean, I got taunted about doing it because I always exercised. And it was a smaller car. It was. But I laid under it and I was bench pressing it from the bumper up in the air. I kid you not, I was. It was only a Honda Civic and it was back in the early, very like circus toyish type of cars. You could actually lift them. I mean, people just didn't realize it. And I happened to say, because I tried it.
All right.
No, I had one on the rack in my father's filling station when I was a kid. And for some reason, I was on a creeper. You know how you're going to go under the car to look? I don't remember what I was doing, but I remember doing it. And I was like, whoa, I just lifted this thing. So it was a joke. And so here, I mean, it's not impossible. I've seen people do feats like that. And then you hear of people who are in fear that pick up a car to get it off of a child. And it's a woman that did it. And so I don't know where these types of endorphins or whatever, what occurs.
Adrenaline rush.
Sure. Another way of putting it. Sure. And so you have scenarios like that. So here we got a military man goes out there. He's hunting and he wasn't by himself either. He did have other people close by to him, but they were all doing like a sweep of a search. I guess it was,
A
just
search
what he,
party.
yeah, well, I think they might have been out just for the hell of it, looking for money. Maybe it was a special ops thing that he was called back in on. There was a lot of information, and what the only thing that was given that he would confirm was that he was a U.S. Army sergeant and that he had background and, definitely all military. Goes out looking, never in his life thought what he was going to encounter was a Bigfoot. And he does, 5 to 11 feet tall, takes a hit, loses his breath, gets really badly bruised up. He's never going to forget it. And he said the thing that'll never, the thought in his mind was the face, the black eyes, and the huge scar that you could tell had occurred on its face. Just as all that registered, the hit came, and he just flew. So, yeah, I mean, you lose your breath, and the only thing you could see or maybe think is the last thing you saw before the case of the impact. And I thought that was really cool. So I hope if you do get to see this and you're one of my friends out there who wrote to me about it, there's the story. That's what I know about it. Sorry if I left out a little of this, that, and the other. But anyway, hello, Jen. Hello, Bill. Hello, Brian. How are you? Arissa? Thanks for joining again. Please share us to your groups. Would greatly appreciate it. Hit your hearts, hit your thumbs, do everything to get us out of being the bottom feeders. And thank you again to all the admins and all the Bigfoot Yeti groups, Sasquatch. You got a couple others out there. Was it the Wookiee?
No, that's the one I changed the name of.
Oh, okay. So it's a Lightfoot Bigfoot.
Yes.
And here I am sharing that life. It's like we're dating. It's a joke, Dave. Don't take it serious. All right. So
as long as you play the part of the woman.
Oh, gee, thanks. I needed that. You had to go to the next level, didn't you? All right. Can't even make a joke with this guy. He gets all serious. Who would have known? Who would have known? Marion, smack him, huh? Thank you.
I did.
Yes.
I hope you lose your breath.
Well,
and in the dark, he only has black eyes. Don't trust him.
Well, she made my eyes pretty big the other night.
I don't want to know.
I no, you like this. I
Okay.
leaned back in my chair. I was going to get a kiss, and she comes over, puts her hand on the chair. Next thing I know, I'm falling straight to the ground.
That easy,
off
huh?
balance and just dumped me over.
You know you married an old guy that's not in the best of shape, right?
All right.
No, you'll get a house out of it. I'm joking. I'm joking. Anyway, you're also not just going to get a house out of it. You're going to have to deal with Bigfoot. You know. All right. So, Dave, did anything else happen at your house? Or we covered a little bit. But any great things this week with you down there in the Big M?
A couple nights ago, it was about 3 a.m. There was a lot of howling going on, both to the north and to the south. You know, the howling with the coyotes. But I was also told by someone that now is about the time of year where the coyotes are in their breeding season. So they'll have their little ones in a couple of months. I don't know how long they gestate. What is it,
Right.
10 weeks or something?
Yeah, and we were talking about gorillas the other night too, and it's like 257 days, I'm pretty sure, on a gorilla. And we were talking about gestation periods for Bigfoot. I mean, these are just things we're never going to have an exact number on. We could probably make an assumption. So I cannot wait to get this special guest in here to discuss some of this with us. I'm not going to reveal you too much yet, but somebody will be here. Anyway, and I'm hoping that some of that knowledge and questions that I have will reveal a lot more to help us in this search for what we're trying to understand. And that's why some of these shows are really good, because they do look out for us. They're willing to come and share on our shows and, give us informations and experiences and give us in real time what their thoughts were like. So I cannot wait to bring that to you kids out there. So keep that in mind. There are some beautiful patriots out there that do want to help us the best they can. Did you have any stories to share tonight? I thought you were saying something. We were going to go back to PA tonight.
Well, that Dogman thing that I shared with you. Since that was
the waterfall story in Somerset, between Somerset and Seven Springs and the mountainous areas. I think, yeah, you did send me that. I was not aware of any story like this, but it's pretty fascinating. I really do think it is. I think they call it the Coldwater Run Falls.
I think that sounds right.
Okay, well, why don't you lead?
Well, it was the falls, and a couple had gone there frequently. They liked it, a place out in nature, things that couples do. And they liked the waterfall. Well, this time
Like Lookout Point.
they were going to the waterfall and they caught a whiff of something. And the way the guy described it is, he said, kind of smelled like a wet dog that you rubbed his nose and poop.
Okay.
And they caught this stench. And as they approached the waterfalls, there were what he described as 3 male type dogmen creatures. And they were acting rather menacing. But they said the one was taking a bath in the waterfall there. It was bathing itself. And then another, because they had first seen one standing there, one in the waterfall, and then one came out from behind a tree.
Yeah. So that's pretty wild, because from what I understood of this story, the most fascinating part about this, Somerset, PA, Seven Springs, Champion, PA. Think about this, people. This is just a spit and jump away, 1 hour drive away. Maybe a little farther, an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes. But somewhere in between there at the Cold Falls. Yeah, a couple who goes to a place, which is kind of like Lookout Point, like the things we did back in the 80s, 90s, whatever, and before, there was always that spot, and they never expected to come across this. And I thought that was pretty fascinating. But he described them as dog-head type creatures, or dog-headed werewolf type creatures. He wasn't very specific, but that was the only way that he knew how to share his story. And it hasn't been out there that greatly, but it is out there and it can be found. And that's part of what we're sharing with you tonight. And I find that fascinating. PA's, got a lot of things going on. Now the story goes a little further. Do you have the other details, or do you want me?
Yeah, well, then apparently they started to. Now he kind of described them in a way of like a chimpanzee at first, but much larger, the body, but with a better stature. Not so hunched over like chimps usually are.
Mm-hmm.
And then he described the dog man face. And he said, then they all started baring their teeth, and he saw these huge teeth. And at that point, his girlfriend was grabbing the back of his shirt, and he said they moonwalked out of there. And one of them looked like it was circling around to intercept them, and they got to their car. And as they were exiting and leaving down the road, one stepped out to the edge of the forest so they could see him. And they got the feeling that, they weren't welcome, and that if they came back there, they'd probably be killed, was the vibe that they got out of it.
Was there?
Then the guy looked up that area, and nobody else had made any reports of that, in the rating that people were given the spot, because it was rather popular, and they'd gone there a lot of times and never had anything. And nobody else had ever said they had encountered anything like that in this location.
Yeah. There was a little bit of aggressiveness, I think, shared in the story, too. At one point before they started to leave, when both sides, the couple versus the 3, what they share as 3 wolfmen type dogmen creatures, started to have an aggressive style of showing teeth and whatnot also, I think, had occurred.
Yeah, that's what I had said. They were showing their teeth, and they saw those big
I apologize.
They, you know, that's kind of scary when you realize you ain't at the top of the food chain and somebody's giving you that kind of menacing look, like you might be on the menu. And
Okay.
that's when his girlfriend grabbed the back of his clothes. You know, I mean, I'm sure the guy was in shock and awe. I mean, who the hell expects to go for a walk and see that? You know,
Yeah. But again, it's when we go look, is when many times, probably 99.9% of the times, you won't have any luck to see anything. But it's when we don't expect to see it. And
yeah,
is it something because they perceive, they pick up on from us when we are like in this hunt mode to look? Do we come off a different way? Do we give a different type of vibration? Is our aura different? And that gives them like an awareness to like not be seen, that they can pick up on, versus when we're in more of a natural state, we're at a different type of like frequency or consciousness, and we're just da 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 moseying along, and boom, just like that it's there, and boom, just like that it's gone, and
yeah.
everybody still keeps coming up. Why is the picture blurry? Old technology. A lot of what everybody's seeing is a lot of old phone video clips. Then you have sudden movements and fear factors, and I wish I had all the answers, and I sure don't. I really, really, really don't. I wish I
Well, and a
did.
lot of the problem is distance. And the more you magnify something, the less clarity you're going to have. And they always blow up everything so you can see it better. And then you lose the crispness of it.
Yeah, and look, we're not privy to that technology yet. That's for the NASA, and the Vatican, the ones that own the most powerful telescopes in the world and stuff. They have this way that they can create in these technical pixelated creations, that they can make something from nothing by just having a blur of an image, and kind of like, but we don't have that technology. We're just normal, folks out here in the US of A and some further and beyond. And hello to all you guys outside the United States as well. Support to you all. And I hope you are well. But no, I mean, you're right. We don't all get to have that moment. But I do think there's a good handful, maybe two handfuls of very credible pictures and film clips, short film clips, whether they were done by, a cell phone, or, some type of small camcorder with reasonable distance. But this is all we have. And just as you said, Dave, when you get out further and you try to bring it in, you run into these technical problems. Sometimes I think if people just left the things, more distanced, we'd probably see a more clear picture. The problem is, you'd have to say then, what was that? And we still, even when we bring it in close up and the picture's all distorted and nobody's happy, but these things happen. Just remember that. We support where you're at. We really do. We're in the same position. Is there a happy medium that we will ever get to more and be able to, get more definite information that confirms these different life entities that we share with, because they're there. We know they're there. 5 million people aren't nuts. They're just not nuts. So, I mean, all right, so we got a big story here too. You want to read that from Gary? Gary happened to say something. I see you looking at your screen, Dave, so I thought I'd ask you.
Okay, as someone had messaged me.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Well, here, I'll go with something here.
It's okay. What, the one from Brian?
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's from Brian. I apologize.
Says, I'm an avid mountain hiker and do most of my hiking in New Hampshire. These beings are highly intelligent, and I've had a few strange encounters out hiking in the middle of nowhere with my dog in the White Mountain National Forest. They stay hidden from us for a reason, and the vastness of the forest we have here in the Northeast untouched by man. Heck, 85% of New Hampshire is forested. Very taboo up there still, and many people keep to themselves or just rush to be anonymous while telling their encounters.
Wow, pretty cool.
Well, and I can understand wanting to be anonymous because, I mean, first of all, who wants to get ridiculed because we all get called crazy? Oh, you're crazy. Nobody wants to get tormented, teased, bullied over it. I mean, and then there's other people in a professional app career where if they say, oh, I saw a Bigfoot, that's going to kind of ruin some of their credibility, well, you know, as far as in the workforce. And others, they don't want a whole bunch of people like roaming around the woods starting stuff, you know,
Right.
making problems.
And Gary makes a comment, which I think is really important too. You can even get close up blur. That's just the way it is. Because as he puts it, well, look at the ones caught on game cams at really close range, and they are blur as well. And we do see that happen because it's a sudden movement, and maybe they don't.
Yeah, they're in motion.
Yeah.
And anything in motion, it's pretty tough to get a clear, crisp photo of.
Right, right. And even if we were gifting them with nuts and grapes and raisins and just, sharp rocks or something, to, the same way we, throw corn out in front of the game cam to get pictures of the big racks, why you're allowed to do it. In some places, you're not even allowed to do it, but a lot of guys do it. They set themselves up like a little camp hunting area where they're going to go the first day of hunt once their licenses and everything are in order. They wait for the big day. They want to see what's out there, and they set up their game cams. And it's all about what's my hunting experience going to be like. And you get these occasional pictures where what the hell was it? And it doesn't fit the criteria. That's Bigfoot, or it's Dogman, or it's one of these other cryptids that we talk about so regularly. But I can't be wrong on that. We can never analyze certain things like that, but it's something that's not in the same element of why the camera was even put there.
Yeah.
These are those sudden things that just occur and are rarely caught, but they do get caught on camera, but very rarely. So here you have those issues, and they're not good either. I get that. And you think we would be in a more significant place with technology because we know technology is much better than what's being shared. But again, the technology that's out there could probably cost $3,000-$4,000 that would really make a different impact. And people, just normal people, can't afford that. And that goes so far beyond the scope of getting yourself a rack and some meat. I mean, when you're better off going out and buying yourself, a good Angus and just butcher it down and put it in the freezer. You probably save money when it gets into hunting. So you have that scenario.
But there's these trophy hunters out there. I mean, hey, what deer hunter doesn't want to have a nice buck mounted on the wall?
Yeah, I hear you. I hear
bragging rights. It's like, yeah, in this hunt, look at this beast I got. It's
right. I get that. And you know what? We're in a deep, I don't know if you know this, where it's also scientifically being talked about much more now than ever. And I don't know if it's because of the whole placement of and this narrative where we are, but it's being shared through the science. And is it a narrative? I don't know. They claim we lose 300 species on this planet a day now with the indifferences of how the earth is. I'm not saying anything. This isn't the show for that, but you know where I stand on climate and more. However, it was just shared. I joked not on this. It was just shared within the next 2.5 years that we are going to see such a decrease. And hunting as far as the unavailable species are no longer going to be kind of like with us. And that's devastating for a lot of reasons because we need this ecosystem of life and everything that makes us revolve here. But again, there's something bigger going on here. And when scientists tell you that even our ocean life resources have depleted 90%, and we don't even clean those landmines of plastic the size of Long Island out in the middle of the ocean, they don't even go out and clean it up. The focus is all about let's just keep the clods
let's haul barges of garbage out there and let's poison the water.
Exactly.
That needs to be outlawed.
Yes,
in my opinion. And
yeah.
I think that they shouldn't make it where you ship garbage from one state to another. If you make the garbage, you should deal with it.
Right. But you know what? It's not like that. And we know we have hordes of garbage out there, and our own military and naval and everything else passes this stuff. And I get that it's not their place, their job, and it's not the right ship to do it with. But we need to start doing something more. And now we're going to be losing deer populations, squirrels, chipmunks, and more. Why would that be? It's pretty mysterious. Maybe not. Pretty mysterious. Maybe not. Remember, we're conditioned and we're being told now. So are we going to be in 2.5 to 3 years sitting in a tree for, 14 hours a day, not seeing not one deer? That's hard enough in some cases. That's hard enough. But we know the populations are really growing and they're out there. But be told.
Yeah, there's been that wasting disease going around.
Well, that's yeah. And what's that all about? Truly, I don't know. Scientifically, I don't know. I can't really make comment on it.
Like for example, if you're
Lyme disease, don't forget the Lyme disease.
And you open up a deer and you see like along the rib cage and stuff these bubble-looking things.
Right.
That's the wasting disease. You don't want to eat that.
You don't want to eat the thing at all. Period.
No, I'm saying that's how it shows up in these deers with the wasting disease is like along the inside of the ribs and stuff, you'll see these bubbles, like little pockets of air in the membrane. And that's a clear sign that they have this wasting disease. And if they got it, you obviously don't want to eat a diseased animal.
No, I'm sorry. I was just trying to put that in there because when I heard you first say it, you were saying that's not the meat you want to eat. Well, don't cut any part of that animal.
It's like yeah, you see that you don't want to eat that. You don't want to eat it, referring to the animal.
And I don't know if we are being told enough about this disease. You may not even want to, take the head. It may just not be a good thing. Then you have Lyme disease. Do you have any information on that? Then we got Bigfoot. How are they, prone to things like this that are out there? And bears. Not just one particular animal. If the deers have it, and why does it seem that everything reflects the deers? Is it because it's one of the easier, hunts for man to sustain life with of forms of meat and protein? Are they just trying to scare us? Is that part of something of a different theory of agenda? I don't know. It's just weird. But again, going back to the Lyme disease, is there any input? And I know we're here, as far as research, but this could be very important to hunters, or you might have somebody out here who hunts just hasn't heard it. The possibilities. So what's up if a deer gets Lyme disease? They recommend that you shouldn't, at least it's what reported. You probably don't want to eat that meat either. But how do you tell once you cut that open? Because
I wouldn't know how you'd tell if they got Lyme disease.
I don't either.
The Lyme disease, I would think that if it's an extremely skinny deer, that would be
hi Tammy
indication, because the Lyme disease does affect your immune system, and you can have a lot of joint irritation and stuff that's kind of like gout.
It also brings on something similar to Bell palsy, where you have the facial.
Yeah.
I know a couple very young children that they were told that they had it. And I often wondered, again, it's a theory that I should not get into here, and he blamed it on
Lyme disease.
right. And I wonder why they were treating them with ivermectin. It was really weird, but that was the case scenarios of what was going on. And what I noticed in the one young person, I'm not going to give any names here, but I swear to you on this, true facts, I saw and I could see to where this was occurring. And I don't know if this is theoretically, we get told things in advance in ways, and then we don't get told things in advance in ways. It works for science for the ones that need science to work for them, not by what's really good for us. And you may wonder, is it Lyme disease or is it a result of earlier processes of what we were led to believe was being helpful to us? The children all of a sudden were getting Lyme disease everywhere. Pretty strange if you really think about it. But then there was older people getting it too. So were these ticks manipulated somehow? We know that the Gates Foundation was releasing mosquitoes everywhere that were in a study and being engineered. And what never a purpose was given. So I do feel bad for everything that we're doing. For us outside in the field doing research, protect yourself, use sprays, do whatever you need to do, dress up, seal your clothes. You know what I mean? Especially if you're going to be camping out overnight, be very cautious. The mountainous areas get more cooler. You should be comfortable. If I'm wrong on that, why do we build fires? You know what I mean? So dress appropriately, be safe, safeguard. But again, now going back to the animals, they have long coats of hair. They may be thick skinned. Maybe these bites cannot penetrate. Maybe these ticks can't burrow into the skin like they can they do it to humans. Of course, I've removed quite a few ticks from people. I really have. There's no easy method to it. Sometimes you can pull them right out with some tweezers. Sometimes you do have to get the tweezers hot and then do it. And that will make them start to like regurgitate out of the hole. Wrong word, but you know what I'm saying.
To withdraw
From place. Okay, yeah, we can say that. I also want to say hi to Tammy Meadows. How are you this evening? Thank you for joining us in. And if you don't know who we are, I am Michael Anthony, and with me tonight is David Parker. And again, just a quick shout out to all the groups out there who allow us in. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. We have a new Bigfoot group all over. You can see it wherever you want from wherever you are. A life with Bigfoot.
Correct.
And it's brand new, and it's going to come up strong. We also do this every Wednesday. We try. Sometimes we're a day late. You know, we have schedules and work schedules, so sometimes we have to fit you in a different day. But we do our best to bring you some good weekly talk and conversation. So we thank you all. We truly, truly do for all your support. If you can share us, please do it. We greatly appreciate that as well. Keep us strong out there in the numbers, and let your admins know that you request to see us, and they'll allow us into your groups. Some groups, but that's okay. I do have a respect for them. They just don't get into podcasts and so forth. That's all good. So, Dave, you have anything else on your mind this evening, or did you bring anything else in your arsenal?
Well, I think I'd like to touch on about the ticks and stuff a little more. Now, when I go out, I've got those, what they call muck boots, like the farmers use for chores.
Mm-hmm.
And something that I do is I spray WD-40 on them. And the ticks don't seem to like that very well. And it helps to keep them off. And another thing that I saw that I thought was an excellent tip for dealing with some of these ticks, especially them little bitty seed ticks.
Yeah.
Is, people have those like lint removers for clothing, with the sticky stuff, the sticky tape on them, and then they'd go over their legs, and that will get the ticks off you too. I don't know about you, but bugs crawling on me gives me the heebie-jeebies. I feel one of them crawling on me, and hell, I can't sleep all night.
when I like to see bugs? I mean, if we're going to talk bugs, let's talk about bugging. I love seeing bugs especially right after the cold starting to just, and the sun's starting to stay up longer, because that's my indication that the groundhog was just super high that day, because these bugs know when I start to see a fly, a bee, a stink bug, and so on. And
Yeah.
I see the birds having parties, flipping leaves. I know we got lied to. And spring is going to get here earlier than everybody thinks. But you know what? We're up against a government here who is suppressing our light. But again, the warmer trough will get to us eventually. Let's just hope that they don't manipulate us too much, because they have great capabilities of changing jet streams and everything else.
Yeah, I hear it's going to get cold again too, but
Did you have a nice day today or yesterday?
It got to almost 60 degrees today, but now it's raining.
Yeah, that's
probably going to turn into snow once the temperature drops down low enough, and then we're going to have, about, I don't know, I think about 4 cold days.
Yeah.
Where it only gets up to, like 30 or something.
Right.
But once you get that taste of that 60, I mean, hey, I was even out for a while today.
I know. Well, at least in Pennsylvania, I can speak for us. There is a couple 60-degree days coming. They're going to be separated out a little bit, but we are going to get them. And that'll be great to pick up construction material in, because I'll be needing to do that. And, you got to pick and choose. I might even have to run super early tomorrow for just to get a few things that I do need to keep continuing. And you know how that is. When you're doing something, you want the product there. Otherwise, you're not going to get anything done. Hi, Danny Campbell. How are you? Thanks for coming in. Appreciate you. And Sheila Bleeks. Good evening to you. Darlene Leonard. How are you? And Tammy Meadows again. Hi. And Gary has been in. Jen Woodruff. Brian's been in. And we had a page of another ones that had disappeared. And hellos back to you guys. Anybody have any questions? Please address them now. Would you be so kind to do that? Would love to hear any comments you have, or if you want to share a quick, brief story, or tell us where you're from, where an encounter was. I can put something on the data board. Anybody have anything? I know B. Dice said earlier, the tallest humanoid, one of us, a Homo sapiens sapien, Homo sapiens sapien, 8'10". You know what? I don't know if that's true fact, though. I mean, maybe it's what the Guinness is showing, but it doesn't. That has nothing to do with the Smithsonian, because they have a whole different format of information of the tall ones that walk the earth. And when you look at some of these bones, if you go on and make, there's a really cool a group out there. It's called America Disclosing Uncensored. I joke not. Go in there and look at all the really cool stuff and see if you can help put some up too. Giant stone carved skulls of what I see as Black African people. I mean, facial recognition. You can tell who these great people were. Where were they? Who were they? Why were they here? Why are all these stone things? So anyway, if you like stuff like that, if you'd like to see pyramids underwater, go and check it out. We try to post really good stuff in that group. That's America Disclosing Uncensored. Would love to have you. Please jump in and do that. And if you're a chick who rides a bike, we got groups for you there too. And you can check those out. You can just ask how to get the one. And if you're thrown in Facebook jail, remember, use Messenger. That's a very, very smart thing to do. You can still keep in touch with all your friends, or at least collaborate on a lot of different levels. There's paranoia. There's all kind of stuff out there. So just remember, you might get suppressed. You might get pushed on. You might get pushed out of a group. You know what? That doesn't mean life stops. That means it just starts again. And I love a good reset when it's purposeful. I don't like them when they're bad. I don't. But you know what? New beginning is a new beginning. So anyway, yeah. Any closing thoughts of anything else you'd like to share tonight, Dave?
Well, I'm getting the new group up and going. We're getting.
Oh, I didn't know you were. What do you play? Guitar or?
No,
Oh, you sing.
My Bigfoot group,
I know. I'm joking. I'm trying to get somebody out there to smile.
Try and get some events going and do some other things with this group that I wanted to do in the other one, but that was not the same vision that they had. So, this one, it's my baby. I created it, so I can do as I please. And
hey,
we'll be doing
1,200 to 72,000 is a creation. I don't care what anybody says, and I'm not letting that ever get lived on. We're going to end it with it, and we know where your focus and structure is going to go. And A Life with Bigfoot. Don't forget it. Show some support to Dave. He's done great things. He's brought a lot of people together. And yeah, so just remember, he's in a different place, a different show of hands. A Life with Bigfoot. It can grow, it can get strong. But again, hey, look, I have a lot of friends over at Bigfoot, The Real Truth. I made a lot of friends.
Yeah.
I did. They're following us too, Dave. It's not a joke. They're seeing us in some.
Yeah.
If you want us on that platform, and you have let the whoever these new people are that are now running the show, let them know that you want to see us. That's a lot of our people over there, and Dave's putting a great amounts of times and effort throughout these few years to really build it. And again, don't forget, it's not the end of the world. We're all going to a new path and to a new pasture. And that's why we're very, very much appreciated all the admins who are helping out. We're not in a time where you do that to someone, but we'll accept the fact that it happened because there's no choice to the matter. Although, somebody could put on his big boy pants and say, hey, maybe I made a mistake. But again, David, that's another whole issue. Like, can trust ever be trust again? I don't know. What I can trust is people tell us about Bigfoot every week.
And how can you ever have friendship with somebody who did you dirty like that again?
Yeah, it's a hard bargain, man. It's like Biden versus America. That's the truth. I mean, there's no other way to put it, and it's not nobody likes that. No, nobody likes that. I mean, I've seen a lot of people in your group, and I'm going to call it your group, and they threw a lot of politic gestures into the comments of stuff. Yeah, it was funny, maybe not always appropriate to the focus of family and whatnot.
Yeah, we were removing them.
I know.
Not the people, but the comments. It's
right. But it just tells me that there's a spark out there. There's a spark of hope and glimmer everywhere. People just need a break and they're finding other things to do and different support methods and stuff on those levels. So I'm not seeing any questions. Did you guys have a good time tonight? Did you get anything? Did you enjoy anything? We covered quite a few things. Usually we're on for 3 hours, and a lot of people don't hang for it all. So we were trying to analyze our time structure with conversation. But if anybody has any final thoughts and questions, please post them. And again, we really want to hear your thoughts. It helps us understand if there's anything else. And don't forget to join in Sunday night. It's kind of an anything night. Anything's possible. No joke. Anything's possible. Just like when you go to the fairs and you put $1 on the chuck-a-luck table or whatever, and that thing goes around. It could land anywhere. And I have something like that. And basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start putting it up and spinning it. And if it lands on UFOs, we're going to talk UFOs. After we're done with that topic, we'll spin it again, and it's going to land here, and we're going to talk about. And I think, it might help direct us a little bit better, too, because when you talk about things like that, because you have to, sometimes it's just more fascinating. It makes you more creative with speech and ideas and thoughts and whatnot. I'm getting some thumbs up here, and Dave Glovin was around earlier. I don't know where he went. Dave shares us out there to some of the groups. Beth's been in behind the glass tonight. Nancy Vincent was a no-show, although I did hear from her, and that's okay. She'll check in. She always does. She always watches the show if she doesn't get to see it in real time. So what's going? And you too, Darlene. I see you, sweetheart. I really do. You're a doll.
Oh, there's a question.
We'll bring it up because this doesn't always show me. So please do.
From Gene Woodruff, what food or beverage should we leave them?
Oh, yeah.
I've found that, gravy train dog food works about as well as anything. They seem to like that. I've left chicken bones for them. and they really like that. And of course, they like apples. They like bacon. Another thing would be eggs that are raw eggs in the shell, because that's something that they would appreciate, as it's pretty seasonal when they can have availability to them. So at different times of the year when it's not nesting season, it can be a real treat for them. Now, one thing with that is I find that when the Bigfoot takes the eggs,
Watch size.
they take the eggs and you don't find an eggshell. And if let's say a varmint or critter gets into it, they're going to eat it right there and you'll find the eggshells. So then what I would do is pick up the old eggshells when I put something else there so I could tell.
Right. Okay. So I hope
But,
that gives her a little bit of idea.
And they like apples too. That's
Raisins?
Yeah.
Old
Natural.
nuts? No, they don't do natural things?
Well, things that they would be able to find. For example, like apples and different fruits that are native to America that they might encounter. Like some people want to put out bananas for them. Well, they're not sure how to eat a banana because it's not something they naturally get. They might like mushrooms too because they eat those in the wild. But, I kind of go with stuff like that and avoid the candies and stuff. It seems like, I heard they like chocolate, but I live far enough away from town that chocolate usually doesn't make the trip home.
1 second here. Let me do this.
Go for it.
I told everyone you have from size small to squatch size. All right. I just wanted to give a little thing because somebody wanted to get into the group couldn't get in as often as they wanted tonight because they were tied up in life. But that's cool. It's fine. And again, I want to thank Pennsylvania Bigfoot and Bill, if you're out there listening, and I probably would think that you are because I know that you're addicted, just like we are. We want to see you back on here real soon, brother. We really do. And if any of the other admins have interest, please contact us at 1-800-Michael Anthony. So just look it up on Messenger. You'll find me. And you can take the 1-800 off. But if you want to use it, dial 1-800-Michael Anthony. And maybe I'll pick up. And we'll get you onto the show. Bring some stories. Bring some group history with you. And we'll talk narrative and just have a great time. The American people love Bigfoot. And it's almost getting as big as UFOs. It truly is. I mean, the number one thing besides, there's a few number one things out there. I'm not going to get into what number one is because it's inappropriate. That should give you your answer. Then it's UFOs and then it's Bigfoot. And that's the facts. Now, in fourth place is politics, and that's the truth. So you have first place, the big P, and I'm not going to say what that stands for, but it's a 4-letter word. You guys can figure it out. Family friendly, sorry. Second, narrative, UFOs. Third, Bigfoot. Fourth, yeah, you know it. Well, right now it's the truckers, actually. And then the rest of the politics are, probably in fifth place. But the truckers have a new kind of flavor going on in America. And we want to wish all you guys a lot of love out there. And also up at the Bigfoot Canada, thanks for accepting us in. We appreciate you because these are people that are allowing our formats to get out there with the show. And I would love to get one of the admins from there. I think I'll do some writing to those guys. And if anybody can help me with that up in Canada, I know Rosa's up there and she already comes in. She joins with us. And Cheryl, one of our ufologists that comes on to the show, maybe they can pull some weight. Let them know we're superstars, just like those guys are up there. But they have an incredible amount. I think a couple 100,000 people in their group.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I think, it would be wonderful if we could touch base with those guys, get a couple of the admins in with us and just do like a Bigfoot Rama kind of thing. And, go kill for 3 or 4 hours and just chill out with some beers and just talk Bigfoot and get the information out there. I really think people like to hear voice of people versus a lot of times reading. But I do have a reader. She doesn't know she got hired. And I am going to have a reader come in, and she'll be on a standby sidebar platform that I'll use, that I'll integrate in. And when I asked her to share a story a couple times a night, she'll be there to do it. So that'll be wonderful. That way, you and I can concentrate on theory of questions and making conversation to the chat room a little better too. So our
Right.
structure is going to grow and get a little better as well. But fantastic views last week. Thank you, everybody, everybody, and I mean that. And Bill, you brought a lot to the table. You have a lot of support. Thank you for that. And Dave, you do too as well. And we do our best here from all facets. I get a lot of early people that come from the other narrative, just because I guess I made friends, and they're very supportive to me on all the narratives of all the different levels of platforms that I talk about things. But you know what? It's good to just break away from the world, and that's why I'm looking forward to Sunday, to open up a whole different can of worms of a lot of these mysteries and histories and theories and all this other stuff. And the fact that now the scopes, the new ones up there, the mirrors are in alignment. Jimmy Church put out a thing to me, and I put it and I shared it. He shared it, and I'm grateful that he accepts me as a friend, because he's a good guy with a big voice, and he has a lot of strength with him. He comes with a lot of knowledge. He really does. I mean, he's like a dictionary when it comes to facts. You can pretty much bring anything up to him, and it's like bam, bam, bam. I mean, he knows it in a heartbeat because of the thousands of interviews he's done over the years and so forth. So he shares this thing out about that. So check it out. It's up there. It's working. There's a picture in, and it was like pretty wild. I mean, it kind of, I don't know if it was like a wormhole type thing. I didn't have enough time to read it. My apologies. I don't want to misrepresent it, but if you go on America Disclosing Uncensored, you'll see I shared something in there that was directly shared to me from Jimmy that got up onto the platform there. And don't forget, at the end of an evening, you're just chilling. Turn Jimmy on. Fade to black. Get it out there for church. He's a good guy, man. Rock star, guitar player. Great voice. You'll never have a voice like Church. Always remember that. When you got it, you got it. That's the way it is. But I really was waiting to hear what was going to go on. Remember, this is your tax dollars going up here to work. And if they can do that, and you have Google Earth and more, they see things that we'll never be allowed to see. And I just hate that fact that they have that kind of control mechanism over all of us, That blows my mind. I'm not in on that, because you know what? Why does it matter for us? It does matter for us, It all matters for us. Yeah. We need to change some things. But again, it's been fun tonight, people. Dave, any final thoughts before you leave, or ambitions? Please share them, and I'll keep my mouth shut.
Well, I'm going to try and touch base with a few people and try and get some events going this summer where people can get together for Bigfooting, whether it's like a conference or whether it's actually doing some expeditions in our national parks. I'm not sure how closed down they are because of this COVID thing,
Right.
but if they're opened up, I'd kind of like to get some events going, get some vendors and whatnot, and make a good time out of it for everybody.
I could imagine that at some point in time in your future, you open up Bigfoot World, and everybody would, you put up this big giant fence or something, and everybody be plastered to, and it look, which way do they come? They'd be all looking through the fence. I mean, I would probably be doing the same thing. I would have a great time coming down, hanging out with you for a very long weekend. I don't like to get somewhere and like 2 days later you got to leave and it's a 1,500-mile drive. I am not into that.
No.
I like to comment. No, you know what I mean? It's tough to do stuff like that. But to get there for 3, 4, 5 days to really be active in the research process of your ground would be fascinating. From everywhere of the mineral and the stone, the gemstones and the quartz and Bigfoot and, some of the surroundings. and of course doing some experimental mirror researching, where you don't even they'll never know the camera's there. It'll just be all pictures through mirrors. Same
I've
thing as
heard
they're
of
doing
that.
up there.
I know what you're talking about. I'm familiar with that. I don't remember who exactly I heard talking about it, but they had dug a hole that they put the camera in and used like a periscope.
I know about that, and that makes a lot of sense. I don't know how successful that was. I know someone that actually, you can buy a rock now where it's the size of a pinhead, the camera.
Yeah,
And you can buy a rock and just place it out there, and it'll send you back the video right to your computer. Anything that goes by it, an alarm goes off. It's silent outside. It's not inside. You get alerted, and it will give you anything that's out there in your field and so forth. It's a very small rock. It's not even a real rock. Um,
I I've seen those.
yeah, and I mean, there's other ways and technologies that we could look into things. The laser grids, just
I've seen. I know Steve Culls was into using those at one point. I don't know.
well, the military has a new technology now. It's a laser grid that's naked to the eye. It's not even infrared, but it's a infrared. You shoot it out there. The only thing that acknowledges it is the feed that comes back. You see the grid on your in real time on your uh,
Monitor.
mini laptop monitor, whatever you're using. I would guess. Now I don't know if you need. It has to be a certain format that way. And again, this camera technology, it's not a download. It's a system.
Yeah,
It's probably into the thousands, but nobody sees anything. But you see everything and anything that passes, and maybe some things you don't want to see. Which I can't wait to talk about the fabric of space and time and how I think it got broke in 1947 with all these 2,500 explosion testings that they were doing. And I'm really looking forward to that. So I'm really hoping that everybody will join in Sunday night to do some talking on that and maybe a little bit of the mysteries of the unknown, of the afterlife, and a few other topics. And if anybody wants to bring one to us, bring it. We appreciate it and make recommendations for us. It's all fun and dandy here at the big, yeah, here at the Bigfoot Project. I was going to say here, but anyway, you know what I meant. The Dark Radio Network Project. So yeah, it's not always Bigfoot. Sundays is a little different. David, I'm going to head to bed, and so all you guys know on the other side of the glass out there, I thank you and I appreciate you allowing us to come into your home. We try to be a family platform, especially for the Wednesday nights. We don't want to have any mishaps, really, especially if there are children around or have the interest to Bigfoot as well. We don't have all the answers that we can all agree on, but the research is sure fun. So if you're having anything in your local area, um, you know, Bigfoot watch parties or research groups, become active, get involved. See how you can help out. Maybe you can be part of the structure and help the groups grow as we're all looking for the big answer here. More of the big answer. We know it's real. Again, Dave, my thing is this. I don't want to sit down and hang out with. I mean, if well, once upon a time, and times change. If evolution moves things away from people and they grow into a different time frame, there may have been a time we know that the Indians were the ones closest to this creature. And whatever happened, and we hear stories that there was a separation of ways there because of different stories of different tales. They may never look at us the same way again as they once did when they looked upon the Indians. Because when you step away from something or you get pushed away from something, you find a new path and you never go back to it. And I think you find yourself in that same scenario. You understand it firsthand right now.
yeah.
It would be no different from them. And all we can do is hope that, you know,
Well, in answer to that question, one thing I suspect may have happened is before Columbus ever allegedly discovered America, I believe the Templars came over here, and I believe they ended up bringing plague with them, because the Native Americans talk about how there was great sickness and about 80% of them died, and probably at that time they were on good terms with the Bigfoot. Well, maybe they got it too.
Mm-hmm.
And there could have been all across the United States, as far as the human Bigfoot thing, there could have been an 80% die-off.
The possibility of that does exist. I mean, even the Roanoke. You remember the Roanoke story?
Roanoke, yeah.
Roanoke, yeah, they were here in America, marking land, stones, and more. And look at that story, how they all went missing and became sick and died. Did they come with something? Did they catch something that was here? I mean, we hear this being repeated. That's why I only brought that up. I can't actually pinpoint in my mind right now. I'm trying to think the date and time for that. But if we go back and look in history, we know that even prior to the Templars, that there was visitation from other cultures already getting into America, and then you had the Spaniards that that came and
Just looted everything.
yeah, and one of the other things is, now that's being pointed out to me, I'm not all in on this, but I do agree with it. We had a very terrible culture of people in Europe, just very bad people. They really were. If anybody's to say white supremacy and racism, it was them, because the intentions of them in America was to overtake the lands. And they were the true racists that stole the lands and narrated a lot and orchestrated a lot of the theft of the lands from the Indians and the rights to the Indians. So if we're going to talk, true facts of some things here, it's a big wide range of a lot of stuff. And that's, and here the Indians still, they know good from bad. That's the one thing beautiful about their culture. They know who the enemy was that put them in those positions. They know it wasn't us in this time, and they don't hold any real, bad feelings towards us. They understand how the networking works. They studied it, they talked about it, and they speak between themselves about it, and they're very intelligent for doing that. But if you really think about it, how things are based upon and why narratives are used, it's because the creation of how the early formats of time interrupted a very good place in the United States for the indigenous and for the Indians and more. And there's been so many cultures of people here. Just within the Indians, how many different tribes? 50 some tribes?
More, probably like 200 or plus.
That exist now?
Well, some of them are gone, but there's remnants still around of others.
Some of them were, a lot of them were completely wiped out, all by narrative again. And so these are just some of these scenarios, and that's why I love talking about and trying to get into these Sunday nights like that.
Well, it's might makes right, and history is written by the victor. And like South America, you look at how they went in there and they wanted to convert them all to be Catholic and save their souls, and they destroyed all that history that they had in all the documents and language and everything. And that's such a crime. It reminds you of what ISIS was doing over there in the Middle East.
Oh, yeah.
With all the old history and destroying everything in the museums. And it's terrible.
Well, I think they had a different narrative because they didn't want the United States to get their hands on it. That was only one part of a theory. I'm just sharing one part of a theory that somebody did some really great writing on. And, there's a bunch of scholars out there. They're going to teach us some facts that could be very relevant to tie into a lot of things, like the 9/11 story that I did the other day. And the facts behind that was really about getting a hold of ancient technologies and things that worked on a different platform for others. Again, well, I don't want to say a whole bunch, but we can dive deep into this Sunday and just have a blast with it.
Great.
Dave, I want to thank you again. And Miriam, if you're not in bed already, thank you, sweetheart. I appreciate you hanging in the back, looking up and giving Dave all the information as he needs it as we go. I'm joking. But no, I do appreciate her. I know she's going to keep you healthy. I want to also wish you the best for family and everything going on right now, Dave. Just so you know, you'll be in my thoughts that way.
Thanks a lot.
Just try to keep clear-headed. We'll figure this out. We'll make the wrong a bigger right. I promise. Everybody in America, we love you. Don't forget that. What's that, Dave? Go ahead.
You just got to move forward. That's all you can do. And hey,
all right. So you'll meet me back here Sunday.
Sure.
All right. Let's do some line benders.
Advice for everybody that I found that makes for a much happier life is the most important thing you've got to offer anybody is your time. And quite frankly, I just don't have time for negative people. So if you have negative people, it doesn't matter if they're family, friends, or whatever. If you just don't make time for the toxic people in your life, you're a lot happier. You really are.
Oh my God, I know. Believe me. I know. But you know what? Sometimes the heart's bigger than the mind is smart. And we fall into what's called stupid. But you know what? Again, that's wishful thinking and hopefulness for the ones that need a little extra, whatever it is, attention that we can help them with. And to me, I don't have any real bad issues about that. But I'm going to cut it for the night. And again, say thank you to everybody. Good night. Don't judge us. We won't judge you. David, best to you. And I'll be in touch. We'll create some good scenarios for upcoming Sunday. Look through America Disclosure. We really haven't touched that enough. I'd like to get in there. You're an admin to the group that's never going to be booted. So, let's figure out some things that we can have a lot of fun with. All right.
Sounds like a good plan.
All right, brother. Talk to you soon. In America, take care. We'll see you next week with Bigfoot.
Good night, everybody.